Now we come to the cropping patterns, right? Mainly we have two cropping patterns. One is the mixed cropping and the other is intercropping. Correct? So what is mixed cropping and what is intercropping? Who can define? Who can tell? Correct. Simultaneously, parallelly, whatever you may use the word. So basically, intercropping is basically when you are growing two or more than two crops, simultaneously. As in, you make rows of it. Here don't refer to the picture. The pictures, it has been mentioned just the opposite. The top one would be intercropping and the one at the lower will be mixed cropping. So basically in mixed cropping, in intercropping, what happens is that, for example, you have a row of just methi, right? And next to that you have a row of just coriander, dhania. And after that maybe you have a row of palak, right? So you have rows and rows of different two or more than two crops, right? So that is intercropping. And mixed cropping is basically when you buy the seeds also in a mixed fashion. For example, I'm just giving you an example: arhar dal, moong dal, masoor dal, all kind of legumes, you mix them together, right? You all mix them in equal proportion and then you sow the seeds also likewise. So when the crops grow up, it would be all a combination of moong, masoor and arhar all growing together. That is known as mixed. It's literally, the word means mixed. It's all mixed. So the crops are all mixed up. They're growing mixed up, yes. There are several disadvantages also of mixed cropping. That is, irrigation might not be that much of a problem, but harvesting could be a problem. All of them have to be harvested together. So even the harvested grains will also be all mixed together. You can't segregate because the purpose is not segregation, right? So mixed cropping, first we start with mixed cropping. Sahas, can you use the microphone? Or you can't. Arnav, you'll have to continue. You have to read it out, please.
Yes, ma'am. The process of mixing seeds of two or more different crops and then sowing them in the same field is called mixed cropping.
Hmm.
For example, wheat plus mustard, maize plus urad, arar plus moong.
Hmm.
Advantages of mixed cropping. There is lesser risk of total crop failure because if one crop fails, then the other crop helps the farmer to overcome his loss.
Hmm.
Farmer gets a variety of product for their family by growing crops under the mixed cropping system. For example, cereals, pulses, fodder, and vegetables may be grown simultaneously.
Correct. So basically, as I said, the process of mixing of two or more than two seeds of different crops, right? And then sowing them in the same field. So here the farmer is doing this purposefully, right? Here he is doing it purposefully so that, he has variety. He has, two, three varieties. He doesn't have to put in, different time, labor, effort, or maybe he's got a paucity of space, a farmland. That's the reason why he's mixed up most of the crops, as in two or more than two crops, and he is growing them or managing them all together. Because, and one thing is that, they have to be very closely related or closely associated, as in the pattern of taking care or managing these crops, the pattern has to be similar. It cannot be that you're growing paddy with maize, because paddy has a huge water requirement. Maize might not have that much of a water requirement, right? And they have to be of the same category, as in if you're growing rabi crops, then the mixed crop should be of the other crop also should be rabi crops only. You cannot mix up rabi with, some other kharif crop. Correct? So here, the advantages, there are quite a few advantages because there are lesser risk of total crop failure. Because if one crop fails, then the other crop helps the farmers to overcome his loss. So this is what, many a times, what happens is that depending on the seed quality, the farmers do not have a good yield, or maybe due to some kind of a fungal infection, or some pest issue, or maybe rain or something, they do not have a good yield. So in case the wheat production has not been that good, then he'll recover the cost with the mustard that he has grown parallelly. Right? In the same field, maybe the mustard yield was good, so he doesn't have to wait for another 6 months and then again sow mustard. So in the first 6 months only, he recovered his loss from what he lost from wheat, he recovered it from mustard. Right? So there is always a benefit risk ratio to this, involved to this. Okay. Farmers get a variety of products for their family by growing crops under the mixed cropping system. Example, cereals, pulses, fodder and vegetables may be grown simultaneously. So here basically, if the farmer has got 3, 4 lands, in one land he grows rice, in one paddy and in one mustard, then what about the veggies or the pulses, right? He has to either buy them from the market or, as in he has to procure. But in case of a mixed cropping, he can grow all his required, whatever he requires for his household, he can grow all of them in one land itself, one farm itself. So that is actually a smarter way to grow his own crops. Okay. Now coming to intercropping. In intercropping, this, as I said, the picture itself shows that you grow them in rows, in different rows, right? So there are certain patterns, on by which you grow them. They could be, you grow a row of cauliflower and then a row of broccoli and then a row of cabbage, right? Then a row of lettuce, right? You could grow a row of turnip and then a row of beetroot. So you have different kinds of crops growing in different rows. You don't mix them up literally, right? So what are the differences between mixed cropping and intercropping? In mixed cropping, marketing of only mixed produce is possible. As I said, when you would be harvesting, when the farmer would be harvesting the crops, just imagine mustard and wheat, it would be all mixed, right? So he has to market, he has to sell it also like that. The crop will be in a mixed form. Whereas in intercropping, obviously you will harvest them separately, the yields will be separate, so you can sell them separately, right? In mixed cropping, it is difficult to apply pesticides to individual crop. As I said, it is very difficult to take care. For example, if your wheat has got fungal infection, then you'll have to spray pesticide throughout, where the mustard will also get exposed to the pesticide, even if mustard has not got infected, right? So pesticides can be applied easily to the individual crop in case of intercropping. Obviously, it's very selectively done in a pattern of a row or column. So whichever row has got infected, that row only you use the pesticide. In mixed cropping, prior to sowing, the seeds of two crops are mixed. As I said, while sowing itself, the seeds are all mixed. Be it 2 or 3, all of them are mixed, and then using a broadcast method or a seed drill method, they are being broadcasted on the field. Whereas in case of intercropping, the seeds are not mixed. They're all separate. They're sown separately. They have separate dedicated rows for them. Okay. In mixed cropping, there is no set pattern of rows, which is obvious. Very randomly it is being, allocated. So there could be 3 wheat crops growing at one place. There could be 1 mustard and then 5 wheats and then 2 mustards. It's done at a very random way. Whereas in case of intercropping, a proper pattern of rows are observed. This is done in a very organized way.